Hello, beloveds. It is me, Ahaumna, and I am here to share with you some exciting astrological cryptocurrency downloads about the present moment right now and why this is an incredible time to be getting excited about changes to come in the crypto space. So I am going to screen share with you here, and we're going to dive right into the charts for Bitcoin, and we are basically going to just focus our energy on looking at the Bitcoin chart right now because we all know Bitcoin drives the market. That will not be always the case, and I will talk a little bit more about that soon in this video. We might have a moment to look at that. That being said, let us get the screen share started, and you will see here the astrological chart for the Bitcoin. I do want to make note of a couple of things. If you have looked at this chart before, this is not done in the Western tropical calculations. It is done in the sidereal calculations, and it is also done in the galactic center Ahaumna. And that is because for me personally, if you are not familiar with my work, you have not heard me possibly talk about why I do not use tropical astrology. The short 30-second version is that it is incorrect. It is not actually where the planets are in relationship to the Earth currently today. It is a system of control that was created in Babylon by the deep state to artificially create reality on their terms. So I do not like to use it. If you have looked at the Vedic astrology chart for Bitcoin, you might also notice slight differences here, not huge, because the common is the Lahiri Ahaumna for the Vedic system, which also uses the sidereal. I use the galactic center because that feels the most pure, right? The Lahiri was also, developed in order to create a sense of order and control in the calendar. All that stuff just doesn't feel right for me, right? So I'm all about alignment and precision, which is why I find the galactic center Ahaumna of the sidereal to be the most precise and aligned of all the options for us to look at. So that's what we're seeing here. Now, what we want to talk about today is we first want to go back in time to April 13th. And why we want to go to that date is because that is when Bitcoin hit its peak of $63,608. So I've already set the date for that. So we're going to pull up the transits, and you're going to notice that green planets, April 13th, 2021. We now have these green planets on the outside. That is where the transiting planets were in relationship to where the planets were on October 31st, 2008, and then nice California at 11:10 in the morning, which is the date that is accepted as the date of the foundation of Bitcoin when the white papers were drawn up, and the most accurate for our predictions today. So a couple of important things that we are going to be looking at that are relevant for this pivotal moment in time. A lot of weird stuff has been happening since May, so the last few months in the crypto space. We had an amazing height of 63,000, almost 64,000, and then pretty quickly we about halved that. And all of the altcoins followed. Some went down a lot more than half because that's just the nature of the market right now, with Bitcoin being the driving force. Now, a lot of people have been worried. Is this it? Was that the bull run? Are we done? Are we in a bear market? Like, what's going on? What's happening? And you can analyze the charts all you want with crypto. That's not the way that I personally like to operate. I teach trading through the more feminine, intuitive, and mystical premises of reading energy, looking at the charts, really understanding what's happening at a greater cosmic spectrum, because ultimately we're all just players in this big, beautiful cosmic show. So we want to look at pivotal moments, right? What was happening leading up to this moment? So we have Saturn, right? Saturn down here was at 15 degrees of Capricorn. So it was about conjunct with the North Node, right? let's just be real. Having a North Node in Capricorn in the second house is a great, great position to start the future of finance, to start the future of money, right? Capricorn, the builder of financial systems, that in government systems, the second house, right? Money and resources. It's a great place. And with Chiron here, it's, going to be in a lot of ways conjunct 2 degrees apart, in a lot of ways, healing the wounded financial system that has been. And with Neptune here, it's really about being that visionary, being that prophesier, being that future-oriented dream of what is possible with finance. And that's really what Bitcoin was meant to be. It was meant to be the seeding of the future reality. So we had Saturn here, pretty much conjunct with the North Node, right? We had Jupiter here at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which means that it had just passed through Neptune. And it just passed through all of this as it was leading up. So it was 4 degrees apart on the exact day. So it was in that moment where Neptune and Jupiter, Saturn and the North Node were, making some significant things happen, right? So I want to go to today. I want to go to today in the chart. Let's go back here. And we're on the 3rd of August now. Let's just change our dates, change our transits. Okay, so what we have is Jupiter and Saturn are in retrograde. So Jupiter is retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. You can sort of see the little R there. It's just very tiny, right? We could zoom in. You can see it better down here in the blown up version. So we want to find out how, when a planet goes retrograde, right, it stops. And it appears to us here on Earth that it's moving backwards, but it's really just not moving forward. And since we're moving forward still, it appears that these planets are pulling backwards. And they do then move back into different degrees of the zodiac. So we want to understand, okay, when is the last point that these planets will pull back to before they start moving forward again? Because if you look at the dates of when these retrogrades started, Saturn began its retrograde on May 23rd. By May 24th, the price of Bitcoin was half, $63,608. So that's in less than a month. We had a 50% drop, right? People were panicking, to say the least, right? And that was right in alignment with when Saturn went retrograde. Saturn that is our master teacher. Saturn that creates the aligned constriction so that we can grow and move forward and evolve and get our shit together, pretty much. Right? It creates that constriction so that we do that. And ultimately, what I see that moment as when Saturn goes retrograde is it was showing us what was possible right before that moment. And then it goes retrograde and it's like, okay, but this is, you got to pull. Retrogrades to me are like a pulling back of the veil. It's like, okay, let's look behind, like this is what's possible. And now let's pull back the curtain and like see what needs to actually, like what's actually going on behind, the curtain. And like, is that actually in alignment with what we want to see out here? And if it's not, we got to clean it up, right? So that's what we really saw, that the foundations were not in place. And as Saturn went retrograde on the 23rd, Jupiter then followed in June on the 20th, going into retrograde. Now, both of these planets come out of retrograde in mid-October. So we are looking at October 12th for Saturn and October 18th for Jupiter. So let's go to the future now, and let's see how far Saturn and Jupiter will travel. Go to the 12th. Actually, let's actually go to the 18th first here, since 6 days apart. We're gonna have a pretty consistent view here since these planets move very slow. All right, so we are going to see on the 18th of October, Jupiter coming back to 25 degrees of Capricorn. It is coming back into conjunction with Neptune. Right? Saturn is going to be pulling back to 9 degrees. So it's going to be pulling back, prior to the North Node conjunction that it was at when it was at its peak. Jupiter here is going to be pulling back to that point aligned with Neptune, right? And it looks like still slightly retrograde here. Let's just double check our dates. Slightly off in our side here. Yeah. So let us go forward a couple days just to see here. Go to the 20th. So we see that retrograde is now gone, right? Saturn is now still at 9 degrees. We just went 2 days forward. Jupiter is still at 25 degrees. So Jupiter is going to pull back to the placement that it was at when Bitcoin hit its peak at 63,608. Jupiter is our planet of expansion, of good fortune, of abundance, of growth, of moving forward, of acceleration. All of it, right, is what Jupiter represents. So Jupiter pulling back to that same point where it was at when Bitcoin hit its peak, that is very auspicious, friends. And then it is going to move forward again from there, not in a retrograde. Right? It's going to move forward into these, into the last degrees of Capricorn, and then move into Aquarius, and still be in the second house of Bitcoin's chart, which is going to be creating a lot of financial freedom, right? The structure had some kinks in it, had some kinks that needed to be worked out so that we can then move forward, progress forward. Now, there's another date I want to show you. Let us go here to, hold on one moment. We want to go forward to Mars, moving into Libra. So we want to go forward. Let's see where that's going to be at, because Mars has traditionally been a major indicator for Bitcoin. So we're at October 20th. We have to go, let's go forward a month and see where we're at. November. Okay, perfect. So we will have just passed Bitcoin's birthday, which is October 31st. On that day is going to be, traditionally around that time, Bitcoin starts to do pretty well because it has a sun amplifying its chart. Now, Mars, a indicator here, is going to be conjunct with the sun. It's at 16 degrees of Libra right now. So it will have a few days before this. So about mid-November, right, second week of November, we're going to have this major alignment with Mars and the sun in the 10th house. Right? This Mars really acts as a trigger in Bitcoin's chart to create change, right? To create expansion, to move forward powerfully, right? And then Mars is going to move into conjunction with itself, and that will happen, let's see, beginning of December. Right? So things are looking, from an astrological perspective, pretty darn good for Bitcoin here. And we all know that right now, when Bitcoin moves, all coins move. Will it always be that way? No, it won't. And I'll show you what that will look like in the astrological chart, and also why that's important, why it's actually important for that to be the change we see. So at the beginning, December 10th, we're going to be at 0 degrees of Scorpio. So about that last week of, we're looking at last week of November, first week of December. So we are in a turn of energy. Energy is turning around in this chart here, right? We're also going to see that at this point, Saturn will be making its way back to that beautiful spot it was at when Bitcoin hit its peak of $63,608. We're about 5 degrees away here at the beginning of December. So through the end of December, we're going to see Saturn come back into conjunction with the North Node, right? We're going to be seeing here the sun as activating Venus, right? There's a lot that happens at the end of the year in the Bitcoin chart. Specifically, though, what we are navigating is this important period of Saturn and Jupiter being in Capricorn in Bitcoin's second house. And, you know, big, huge run we saw this year, and then also the equally big crash that we saw this year. And now I hope that this video is getting you a little bit excited for what's to come in the next several months, the fourth quarter of this year. Now, one other important thing that I want to point out here is Pluto. Pluto moves very slow, right? We got 243 years of this beautiful transformation agent, takes its sweet time in navigating through the zodiac wheel. And when Pluto comes into Capricorn, which it will be doing that in 2022, once Pluto makes its way into the second house of Bitcoin's chart, once Pluto makes it into conjunction with North Node, maybe a little bit before, is when we're going to start to see the direction of the crypto market change for the better, y'all. Like, whether you are fully plugged into this awareness or not, just as the stock market, the Forex has been heavily manipulated for a very long time, and the experience with GameStop was at the beginning of this year, the end of last year, where the people took their power back and said, we are not going to let this commodity, GameStop, be undervalued anymore, because we all know that video games are a multi-billion-dollar industry. There is no reason that a part of that market should be as low as it was. And that is because there are there's a lot of manipulation in stock markets. It's been going on for a very long time. And that same manipulation is happening in the crypto market as well. And it is happening because Bitcoin is currently the driver of that market. And the people who have, the whales, as we call them, who are, tweeting this, that, or the other thing, getting everyone excited and pulling out, moving things around, they're basically using the rise and fall of the Bitcoin market for their own personal gain. And in the process of that, it makes everyday people who are trying to change their lives, trying to increase their financial experience, trying to do better for their families, for themselves, for the planet, get burned if they're not paying attention, if they're not reading the energy. Right? They're getting caught up in the swell, which is very easy to do if you are operating from financial fear. So in order for us to actually shift out of that, in order for these altcoins to actually get a run, irregardless of what's happening in Bitcoin, they need to unpeg themselves from Bitcoin. We all need to also shift our brain, shift our way of thinking so that it's not all Bitcoin, right? Because that's how people get burned. Now, a lot of people predict these huge runs, millions of dollars Bitcoin. I will say that I don't believe that's going to happen. And the guidance that I received from Spirit, what I see is Bitcoin will have a 6-figure run. That will happen. That will happen probably end of this year to the beginning of next year through March 2022. And then once Pluto starts making its way in here, I think we're going to see Bitcoin drop down to 40,000 and stay there indefinitely. And in that process, the whole crypto market is going to be transformed and redirected for the better, so that really incredible coins can see their day, see their rise. And all of us must just be tuning in and knowing when to move our assets from Bitcoin into other spaces. It's really what it's about, because crypto is here. It's here to stay. Bitcoin is here to stay as well. It just is not always going to be the driver of this market, and that is actually for the benefit of all of us. Right? There's a lot of incredible coins that do amazing things and solve a lot of problems, and we need them to have their day. So I'm going to wrap this up now. I will share more on that last topic probably in the near future here. I just wanted to get this exciting astrological insights out for you so that you can see what's happening in the Bitcoin chart, because, you know, it's currently driving the market. We see Bitcoin rise, we see altcoins rise. So I know that is what all of us want, is a little bit of faith in what is to come, and just stay positive about it, right? Try your best to not get swept up into the fear. Try your best to not get swept up into the meme movements, the twits about the coins, right? Just stay in your lane, stay in tune with your heart, stay connected with spirit, tap into your intuition, read the energy of the markets. Don't just rely on what people tell you, what people get excited about. Leave emotion out of it and just tune in to what is available. And I will say that we have an exciting fourth quarter ahead of us. So let's do it. Much love to you all. Again, I am Ahaumna. If you are not familiar with my work, I highly encourage you to go and follow me on Instagram. It is just at Ahaumna. I have a lot of great introductory reels to get involved with cryptocurrency from a more feminine and intuitive space, as well as to help you change your financial story and your stories that are creating and getting you stuck up in these cycles of, you know, getting burned with crypto, or worrying about what's going to come, and all the ways that we can change the world through eradicating poverty consciousness from it. So much love to you all. Be sure you like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel, find me on Instagram, and I will see y'all again soon. So much love.